Thank you, Jagran Media, for giving us this opportunity to come and talk about AI, automation. These are interesting words. Any meeting today that you go to, you can't escape these words. Any classroom you walk into, you can't escape these words. Unfortunately, I spent about 4 days in a hospital 2 weeks ago. There was AI written everywhere, right? Right from your knee surgery to CT scan, etc., etc. So with this advent, right, with the improved efficiency that everybody is talking about, faster processing of speed that everybody is talking about, uh, nobody's talking about how does it impact the entire ESG, right? From a sustainability perspective, given that the more AI you use, the more electricity, water consumption will go up. So with that, I'd like to open it up to my panel for their introductory remarks, and we'll take it from there. Manish, we can start from you, please.
Uh, After hearing Dr. Sharma, it's one question I asked him.
Yeah.
Can I drive down to Leh? So the answer is obviously yes. But if I look at the same question from a sustainability perspective, am I adding any exhaust or fuel or pollution to the environment? The answer is yes. The problem is that technology has its downside, and in case of AI, the compute and the power required to run that compute will always be a problem. So, as this technology progresses, there will be research, there will be investments, and I think one of the questions that came to Dr. Sharma was, is it easier to run a data center in a cold location? Microsoft is running a data center under the sea. And I think going forward, as the technology advances, the research to find out ways and means to make it more sustainable are bound to happen. So it's not a subject I would worry, but yes, it's a concern.
Superb. It's taking the middle path. I was in a conference and I uh, got educated by somebody saying, everybody uses ChatGPT here. Yes, ChatGPT or any other AI tool. So to run one instance of ChatGPT for 1 year, the amount of water that is consumed is equivalent to the entire consumption for the country of Finland. So we'll come back to this thought with other panelists. Mr. Dilraj, your opening comments, please.
See, first of all, thank you for inviting in such a wonderful summit. Thank you, Jagran. Uh, let's dissect the AI. AI is artificial intelligence. Forget about the artificial piece for a minute. Intelligence. The moment there is an intelligence, the decisions will be better. Yes, in this process of building that intelligence, it is currently consuming that much of water or that much of electricity, which is on the higher side. But as it moves on, more and more intelligence comes into the environment, there will be intelligence also to look into the factor that how do we reduce the consumption of energy to deliver that much of intelligence or extra intelligence, right? Yes, for a time being, it's a transition stage. I will not even say it's a transition stage. We have not even reached to that level of transition. We are just in a beginning stage of building up AI environment or ecosystem in this planet to make it a better place to live. Now, once we move from this stage to the next transition stage, steady stage, it's a long way to go, and obviously I'm sure a lot of intelligence will come in the operating model of AI, building up of AI, the consumption of power, the consumption of various other natural resources to make sure that data servers are working, etc., will come down drastically. So I will put it in a way that it's not a concern as of now.
Superb. Thank you. So operating model of AI is what we'll come back to you when we come back. Akshay, we've spoken about efficiency. Let's move to the other piece, which is innovation.
Thank you, Jagran, for me inviting on this panel. See, when you talk about innovation with AI, this is something which I feel the whole industry is very, very bullish about it. In fact, To talk about numbers, almost 68% of the CIOs feel that they are quite aggressive as far as AI is concerned. And I believe in next 2 to 3 years, 18% of the apps are going to be AI driven. They are going to be made by AI, not humans. But does that mean it's a problem? No, it is not. In fact, it is not about humans versus machines. It is all about how they can complement each other. It is not going to be a situation where humans are going to be replaced by machines. So I think from an efficiency perspective, there are still things have started rolling out. But at the same point of time, let me caution the whole audience here. I was just reading about a study by Gartner, which says that in next 2 years, almost 38% of AI projects are going to be shelved off after the pilot. So I think this is something which is very important.
Early 2000s, autopilot came, right? Still, every international flight that takes off has mandatorily 3 pilots, right? When Y2K happened, core banking applications were being implemented. People said, we'll not need banks. I don't see any bank getting closed. In fact, more and more branches are opening, right? So I think we'll talk about efficiency, innovation, and what will happen. How will 2030 look like? Probably as the last question from a AI perspective. Love your opening comments, please.
So what I believe now, when we say artificial intelligence, now these days, there's no artificial, like everything is real. If you use ChatGPT, you use for real purpose, real productivity. When you use for sustainability initiative also, a lot of things are happening around. In fact, one of the example I recently, this is a good example, Jaspreet, about connecting sustainability with innovation. As an organization, we have 2 vertical, business and products. So on this, services and product. On the services side, we were helping one giant shipping company in Norway. And this is part of one of their sustainability initiative. When they move their ships from point A to point B, they consume large ships consume a lot of fuels. So with incorporation of large scale data engineering, that crunching of the large scale data, at the real time, through satellite communication, we have built a model which can help and guide the captain shipping on the ship on the real time, that at what time they need to switch off the engine or move their winds so that they can use the wind power, and a lot of other combination happen at the shipping side. So it's an interesting time where we have a lot of tools are available, a lot of technologies are available, computing powers are available. Sustainability definitely is always a question that we always need to improve. But this is an interesting time, and next 5 years would be very, very interesting for all the sectors, I would say.
Thank you for that. Jitin, your opening comments, please.
Yeah, thanks. Jaspreet, I think what I feel is that emergence of artificial intelligence is a natural course of evolution for mankind. So if you see that when internet came to the fore, there was a lot of talk about how will internet disrupt the way we all operate, and look what internet has done to the world, right? Now, artificial intelligence it finds its roots in the availability of digitized information, which can be processed, and intelligent outcomes can be interpreted from that data. So if you see, the natural transition was that you had a digitized world which was connected. You had a lot of information which was available digitally, and if you had computational mechanisms available, which Love spoke about, the automatic transition for this was that can you use that data intelligently to impact outcomes which otherwise wouldn't have existed. So I fundamentally believe that this is a natural course of evolution, just like we human beings have evolved. And I think everything has pros and cons, and we can discuss about that. But I fundamentally feel that time has come to embrace this, but responsibly.
Thanks for that. So Jitin, let's start from you now,
Yeah.
right? Given that you're in healthcare, and I think one of the responsible uses of AI, if something could help us as humans, how do you think healthcare will get impacted by AI?
Yeah, I believe fundamentally that if we human beings are not healthy, then we probably are wasting our time doing anything and everything that we're doing. So I fundamentally believe that artificial intelligence and machine learning is revolutionizing how healthcare is being delivered and how healthcare is being consumed. So if you see today, right from your diagnostic tests, you have information available which can be synthesized and it can be digitized and it can be compared with outcomes of that disease pattern across the globe. And there could be predictable models which could be built around it to tell you that what will be the disease pattern, what will be the possible outcome of the intervention that the medical practice could make in this condition, and hence what is the probability of your success or failure with that particular intervention. Now, if you think about it, right, I mean, it sounds simplistic, but look at, let's say, in the context of India. India is the diabetes capital of the world, probably, and I think it is unfortunate, but cancer is also emerging extremely aggressively. Yeah. So if you see, artificial intelligence today can help in early detection of symptoms of these diseases. It can help us compare these disease patterns. And also, since most of this is expensive, if you take inclusivity with artificial intelligence and machine learning, you could make embedded finance available to people to be able to avail these expensive treatments. So all of this can possibly be done with the layer of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it can revolutionize how we Indians or the world consumes healthcare.
You mentioned about embedded finance.
Yeah.
Would you just want to throw?
Yeah, for
Just a
example,
minute
let's
on
say
it.
we at Seven, so Seven is a platform which allows people to split their medical expenses into zero-cost monthly installment plans. Just like how you buy an iPhone probably, or you buy a consumer durable product, with us you can buy or you can consume any healthcare service and pay for it in a monthly installment. So what I mean is that today it is very difficult sometimes to adjudicate and underwrite a customer at the point of consumption of healthcare, that whether I can give credit to the person at that point readily available. But I think with the emergence of machine learning models, you could look at the information and you can decide very quickly, and you can make that money available to that person even if insurance is not covering a certain amount of treatment. So I think this access to timely care is extremely important. And I think
That's a make or break.
that's a
right?
make or break. And I think usage of machine learning to be able to make intelligent and swift decisions which can impact the outcome of an individual's life is priceless, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. So,
Just to add on,
yeah,
since it's a healthcare, 3 or 4 days back, maybe a week back, MIT has done a wonderful modeling to detect breast cancer 5 years ahead.
Yeah.
Right. Now look at it. If you're able to detect, it's a path-breaking innovation in the field of AI to detect any disease much ahead of what even one can imagine, because of the data of human body, which an ordinary intelligent mind as good as Einstein will also not be able to compute that much of data. Now, that's very, very great use case to talk about healthcare, that this is just a beginning. This is just a beginning if somebody is able to detect your possible diseases, thereby telling you, you know, that these are the precautions need to be taken. This is the whole medical procedure changes. Thereby, the cost comes down drastically.
Absolutely.
Vis-a-vis when you come to know about these diseases. If you remember when IBM Watson was introduced in one of the Indian medical institutes, the oncologist had the prediction by themselves accuracy of only 50%. With the IBM Watson AI tool, it went into 84%. So it's a great, usage of AI in the field of healthcare.
no, absolutely.
Make it affordable.
Accessibility, and another important topic which probably we'll discuss later is cyber security when you're dealing with the AI tool. But we'll come to that. So since Dilraj, you volunteered, how ready is India for AI deployments? And maybe I'll come to you, Akshay.
So I will look at it this way. First of all, I never consider AI as an artificial intelligence to break the barriers. It's an augmented intelligence. The source could be something else. See, what's it? I have an intelligence within my mind which is being created by neurons and deceptors and receptors, and I have only certain computing power by my neurons. So I'm using some neurons outside my world to compute that data points and to give me more information. Now, when you talk about the readiness, it's not like party going, that how much we are ready to go to a party. These will be deployed at the back end for the users to use. Like for example, if this artificial intelligence on detecting the medical problems, right? If they are made available to the doctors And if they are convenient to use, there's nothing to be getting ready about it. The question is, are those tools consumed at the back end? This is where the whole thing is, that the doctors and the hospitals, or even in the agri sector, we as a large organization will have to start consuming them. We'll have to invest in some money to absorb that cost and then start distributing the information to the larger citizens or the public or to the users. We are 100% ready. There is no question.
Okay.
We are 100% ready.
So two things. I think, I also read somewhere saying after the wheel, this is probably going to be the biggest revolution that mankind has ever seen. But you mentioned a very key word saying AI readiness. I think there's somebody who publishes a AI readiness index by country. Our numbers don't look that great.
Yeah.
Manish and then love to comment on maybe the readiness piece of it also.
So I'll have a slightly different, more
Superb.
critical view.
Yeah.
There are certain technologies where readiness differs between general public and enterprise. So WhatsApp we are adopting in our corporate communications now. People adapted much before. In AI also, if you look at the general public, they are adopting AI much faster than we are adopting it. Then you have to look at the two phases of AI. What we are adopting in AI only started happening after Gen AI came into picture. Otherwise, machine learning and AI has been into existence for the past 10 years or maybe more. But
30.
all of sudden, maybe 30,
30 years.
all of sudden, the hype behind AI is happening because of Gen AI, and people have started using. I'll give a live example. I'm pursuing my doctorate in data science and organizational behavior. And we use a software called as Turnitin to check the plagiarism. So intentionally, I asked ChatGPT to create me an article, and I wrote some part of it. I took it to Turnitin, and Turnitin very clearly told me that, look, this section of article looks like a Gen AI generated article.
You could have come to me. I could have told you another software reverses also. Sorry. But please go ahead. Please go
So
ahead.
if you look at the academic sector, students are adopting Gen AI.
Yeah.
If you come to enterprise, the challenge is we have not been able to manage our data till date. Any enterprise in India, and I can say per se globally also, we still do not have control over our unstructured data. Gartner says 80% of our knowledge lies in emails and memos and documents. We only are able to manage structured data through SAP, ERP, CRM, HRIS and all. Unstructured data, I don't know how many CIOs would agree. So unless we are able to manage our data, we can't train LLMs. Unless we can't train LLMs, I would say we are far behind.
Love, your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, so somewhat I agree with Manish, because I have also seen this interesting challenge. When we talk about AI and Gen AI, it is very different how we perceive it from the end consumer lenses, just like we use for academic purpose, or the most widely used in the marketing world, these Gen AI tools. But when it comes to the core enterprise side, be you are a KPO, BPO or LPO or any sort of organization where you are maintaining your operations, want to bring in AI, one of the things is that you need to have patience fund available with you, because any of the AI initiatives takes a lot of time. Even a POCs takes a lot of time. And that's where the question comes, where 90% of POCs are failed. And each POC comes with heavy investment. So then the question comes always from the board, that what is the return of investment around it?
You are not allowed to ask my questions. That was my question next on how do you measure ROI on AI implementation? Because the board is going to ask, what's the ROI? Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. ROI is one of the major challenge, because every organization has their own constraints when it comes to financials. So if there is patient funds available for the tech organization, tech teams available, it can grow. But I mean, from the ROI standpoint, it's a very, very, especially for the technology team or the person who is heading the technology, it's very difficult to convince the board that, okay, you are investing, let's say, $1 million, and I'm sure this will give you a return of $10 million in next 3 years.
Jatin, coming to you, right? If you want to advise somebody sitting here, saying, how do you start your AI, Gen AI journey within your organization? What would be those 2-3 pieces of advice that you would give?
My advice would be single liner. Be very clear with your outcomes. Do measure your KPIs, but don't be unrealistic on day one, because this is not a magic wand, and it does require, let's say, implementation and execution.
Superb. I recently read an article in the New Yorker where it said all racket sports, tennis, table tennis, badminton, are grappling with the fact, saying, why do we even need umpires? If wherever the shuttle or the ball is landing, if I can put sensors there, sensor can on the screen give an alert. Why do I actually need human intervention in a match? And if you think about it, it can actually be very true that you could be playing anywhere in the world.
I would say it's very similar to the interface between a bot and the seamless handover from a bot to a human. So you do need that, even let's say in an interface when you talk to somebody, because at some point you may want a human to make some, let's say, adjustment or decision.
But instead of having 5 umpires, I can do with probably 1. And that's what happened, right? And that's my next question. Before I come to my next question, so NBA, the National Basketball Association in US, to cover a full season, till 2 years ago, they needed about 30 odd reporters. This year, somebody made an AI bot with 3 reporters, 99% accuracy. Even before the match started, they were able to predict the outcome of the match, right? We spoke about predicting diseases 5 years ahead. Imagine even without one ball being bowled or one shot in the basket, if you are able to predict the outcome and apply it in business terms, it can actually be a game changer. But from that perspective, I'll put on a little bit of devil's advocate hat and ask few people here, what about cyber security, data privacy concerns? Manish, you want to take a stab at it, and then we'll go to Dilraj, Akshay.
Well, you're talking about a function that's roughly a $24 billion market in next 2 years. Such a huge value runs on fear. So of course, Gen AI will generate a lot of fear. There will be companies harvesting it. And I don't see any exception that why we CIOs will be living in a world of fear. That has to happen. The catch here is the biggest concern in Gen AI is privacy. Data security, you can save it. You may not use a public LLM, you'll build your own LLM. Most of these things are simple to do, but the biggest concern is that to generate that intelligence, the data that you will be feeding, what's the privacy control on that? Will an email that I exchange with my wife or a daughter using official ID, will I be concerned about that? Will a photograph that I took with my team out on a trip to Myanmar, not Myanmar, sorry, wrong place, Phuket, will that generate or would become a reason for a deep fake? So privacy is going to be a bigger concern. Security, I believe most of the available methods are quite competent in protecting the data, and CIOs are taking cognizant of the fact that whether it's a publicly shared channel or it's a private channel.
In-house, yeah, perfect. So you're saying privacy is a concern?
Privacy will be a concern, yes.
Perfect. Your views?
I think both security and privacy both are extreme concerns. Security for a reason. Now, for any AI, the regular diet of AI is only data.
It eats data.
It needs data. It only eats data, nothing else. Once you have created that structure, it only eats data, fresh data, a good quality data, and you need somewhere a container to store that data, probably much more in quantity than what you had initially started storing. So even if you have strong firewalls, strong mechanism to control the leakages of the data either on the storage side or on the transmission side, on the transportation side, don't forget that there is someone who is building up a strong AI to hack the data also. They're not silent. They'll be also using a huge amount of augmented intelligence, so-called, to get into your system, to encrypt or decrypt it, and then they start using ransom, stuff around it. So security will be a concern. And then the major concern will be, the other concern is obviously the privacy which he was talking about. Manish, you never know. Your unstructured data, your email data, your phone data, your data.
Don't even talk about phone data. That is the most common.
No, I'm saying anywhere. Photographs data, your photographs are lying everywhere. You don't know how will they turn out to be down the line. Today you may not be that, what I say, famous person, so nobody is taking care of it. The moment you are a famous person, the same photograph may become, take a very different shape altogether, or a voice.
It's already happening, right?
It's already happening. The voice is, so that's a great, great concern. And as we move on in the next generation of AI, the concerns will multiply, maybe compound, I will say. And it's not going to be an easy way to come out of it. It won't be. It will be a difficult task for any head IT or head digital or head business to manage this along with the AI.
Perfect. Akshay?
I think this is becoming more relevant now because of geopolitical scenarios which are happening right now. And when we talk about AI per se, I think you have a good AI, and same point of time you have a bad AI, right? And they are always running behind each other. So what is happening is the bad AI, the entry level barriers are getting lower down for bad AI people. So I think what is important is obviously security is going to be a major concern. At same point of time, the biggest issue is when these things happen. We had a major outage a few days back, and we would have seen that there were a lot of social network talking about manual boarding passes, right? So what it happens is it basically straight away hits your capex and basically hits your market value. So what is happening is now the CEOs are asking, how ready are we if this happens to us? So I think what is very important is we have to have a resilience in place. We have to have our basically hygiene in place. Then only these sort of things can be taken care of. Otherwise, let's accept it. In case we are online, we are going to be hacked one day or the other. So it's only a question of it's going to be when. So I think what is important is while we are planning for all these strategies, it is equally important to have our cyber strategy policies in place, resilience in place, data structured has to be properly formulated. Then only things are going to fly.
Love, Jitin, over to both of you for closing comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Because when we talk about artificial intelligence, in its core foundation, we really need to think about all these traditional, fundamental, which we always used to hear about, people, process, technology. Security is one of the interesting vertical we always need to think from the strategical standpoint to cover the holistic picture of responsible AI around it. Yeah.
Jitin.
Yeah, I think, I've talked a lot of good that could come from AI, but I think the founder of ChatGPT, Sam Altman, famously said that we must guard AI just as we guard nuclear weapons, right? So this is something that he asked the policymakers and lawmakers across the globe that, look, this is what I have founded, this is what I have built, and now there are others who will do this, and this will not stop. But can we put guardrails in place as strong as those which are used to guard nuclear facilities across the globe? Because when we say that this is going to be as disruptive as the wheel was back in the day, it means that the ramifications of wrong use of this technology, as some of the examples that were quoted, will be equally aggressive, if not more. So which means that I think the entire onus of using this technology will again lie with the mankind, and which is why I think policymakers will and should take note of how and when to use it, how much to use it, how much reporting would you need to put in place for each event, and etc. And I think that's important. But By and large, everything has pros and cons, and we should budget for both and try to make the best use of what is an offer.
Superb. Yes, Manish,
Yeah, I
please.
just wanted to add one thing. In spite of all the bad things what Jatin answered, there are still possibilities to beautifully use Gen AI in today's technology environment. Some of the examples I can share which we have worked upon is we can link our incidents that happen on the end user or server side to Gen AI, get some solutions, make the life of engineers easier because they will stop doing iterations. You can take transcripts of your interviews, bounce it to Gen AI, and look for hidden parameters like leadership ability, attitude, collaborative features, something that human beings are unable to detect. And in course of such use cases, if you take your input prompt, which is what you gave to GPT, and take the responses, and once you have evaluated it for accuracy, if you start feeding these to your own LLM model, you will not only build an internal LLM of your own, but you will be also able to showcase the ROI of using AI and Gen AI to the board, expecting some more budgets to come through. So that's a way we have been making approach
So
decently
that's
successful.
your ROI. On a lighter note, will we ever see a panel with 6 bots sitting and no humans? Thank you so much.